And Judith has been on, I think maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of my different trainings. And it's actually my first time seeing her face. So it's nice to see your face, Judith. All right, so I think it is live there. Okay, great. I think we're good. All right. I feel like it's working. Okay, good. All right. So welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is our Power Author Week. We are kicking off today a challenge for us. Uh-oh, but I don't want to do that. Hold on. I don't want it to share that. I wanted to share my, it's sharing the wrong thing. You guys are seeing the wrong thing. Let me pause that. Sorry, we're gonna work out a few kinks and then we're gonna jump right into it. Or I might just shut the share off totally. And okay. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Let's just share the right thing and not the wrong thing. Okay, here we go. Stop sharing. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'll do that for right now. All right, so welcome everybody. Deep breaths. I am super excited to have you all with us during this time. You know, we know that right now there is a resurgence happening in the world in many different ways. And we understand that we are at a pivotal moment, not only for us individually, but also for us collectively. And what we choose to do during this time has the ability to really dictate how our next, not just few weeks or few months, but how our next few years look. And so it does not fall short on me, the opportunity that we have to come together. And so I appreciate each and every one of you all who are here joining us in this author challenge. I am proud of you for stepping up. You know, I'm proud of you for saying, I want to utilize this time and make something that is going to serve me and also serve our society. So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Zarina El-Amin. I am a cultural entrepreneur from Detroit, Michigan. I run several different projects and programs, all centered around connecting not only to our individual selves at deeper levels, but also connecting to the world in which we live in deeper ways. And so this project that we're doing right now centered around helping you all take your ideas, your skills, your messages, and be able to combine that and package it into a book is really here for us to, it is really here for us to see how we can be angels, if you will. See how we can be used as we are here now on earth and be able to serve our society in bigger ways. So let me do a little bit of housekeeping, if you will. Let me do a little bit of laying us out so we know and you know exactly how this week is going to go. Hey, Monica B, I see you joining us. Hey, Brother Muzamo. All right. So this author challenge is geared towards you all jumpstarting your book project and creating your book plan. That is the goal for this week. Now, you and I both understand that a book project has things, there are parts that have to go into it in order to have the full project completed. Our goal for this week is so that you have a solid foundation and a solid book plan that you can take forward in creating your book project, okay? That is our goal. And so how this week is going to go is that we're going to have these live sessions like we are here right now today, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be in Zoom as we are, and this is the place where I'm going to be able to do like our hot seats, our love seats, as you will. So if you have questions, this is the space where I want you to be in, not the Facebook group, okay? So the Zoom is where I'm going to be pulling some of you all throughout of the week into what I call like love seats, and we're going to go into some of the things that we're going to be learning and some of the training that you're going to be getting this week. All right, does that make sense? So Zoom is for the hot seats and such. I'm going to be streaming it live into the Facebook group, but this is where the action is going to happen. All right, there is homework. What does that mean? That means that this is not a passive challenge. It's called a challenge for a reason. It is a challenge because there will be homework assignments for you to complete. Now, a book creation is not something that can just happen like passively in your mind. You just don't say, oh, I want to write a book, and then boom, it just happens. It takes effort on your part, right? It takes you putting action steps into place. And so what that means is that I have strategically designed every day here to have homework assignments that are for a reason. Like what I'm teaching you is not just something that I pulled out of the air. This is exactly what we do with our Power Author Academy students. And this is exactly what we do with our full ghostwriting packaging, all of those clients as well. So it is strategic. And so what I need for you all to do is to do the homework. You're going to get out of this week what you put into this week. Okay? So you know that if you just come and you're just like, la, 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 oh, I like that red, or, whatever it is, and you don't take action, you're not going to get the full results. And I would be really super duper sad, quite frankly, if that happens, because I want to see you win, and I want to see you win big. And in order for that to happen, we have to take action. So those who will know me, I see some of my other clients on here, Zenoria. Those who know me, hey, Lena. Those who know me know that we have two things that we kind of go by. One is team no excuses, okay? Team no excuses. So what that means is that if you have something that comes up, there are things in life that can hit us, right? And slow us down for a moment. And you can allow that to be an excuse that knocks you out totally. Or you can say, okay, that was a hiccup. Let me go around. Let me figure out another way to get what it is that I need to get done. And so here we adopt the mindset of being of team no excuses. Okay, so I need you all to kind of put that hat on as you're going throughout this week. We know life is going to hit you, okay? We know life is going to hit you, but when it does, let's go. And the other part is take action. So we've already mentioned the importance of us taking action throughout this week, okay? So that is extremely important for you. All right, so we're clear on Zoom. We're clear on the homework assignments that are going to come. And some of the homework assignments are going to be links. They're going to be Google Forms. So Ali is my assistant. I think he's here right now. And so he has done a really wonderful job. You guys give it up for Ali. He has done a really wonderful job of putting some of my thoughts like down onto paper. And so you guys will get the benefit of that. So some of the homework assignments are going to be in Google Form where you don't have to print anything out. Like you'll just be able to type it in. So, so I'm thankful for that. And so he'll drop the link in when it comes to that time. Okay, let's see. Any other things for announcements? Yes, I have put together some secret packages, some gifts that I'm going to give you all to entice you to play full out. All right. So you playing full out is for your own benefit. Let me say that first of all, though. It is for your own benefit. You play full out, you're going to get the results that you want. But I also, as an instructor, it is my responsibility to help you play full out, right? And so I have some incentives that I have put together. I'm not going to share them with you right now, but just know that when you play full out, when you do your homework, when you're active in the group, right, we are going to be pulling names, putting them into a random generator that we have that will pluck one of you guys out and you'll receive some gifts from us. You guys excited about that? So you get gifts, right? Which is definitely cool. Okay, let's see. So I want to do first just a kind of overview of what this is. Like what a book is, so that we're clear just with that basic foundation. So all of us know books, right? All of us have books We know that they are words on a sheet of paper. So technically, a book is a bound document that's 49 pages or more. Okay, so that's just like the technical words for it. It's 49 pages or more. Now, why am I sharing this with you all? Because some of us have this idea that in order to be a book, it has to be like 100,000 words, 60,000 words. And that's actually not true. That's actually not true. Okay. So this does not have to be your magnum opus, this book that you're putting together. It does not have to be the one book that you write for all of your life. Okay. Now, what it does have to be is a message that is concise, that is cohesive, and that is understood by your audience. And we're going to talk a lot about audience, okay? Because they are the key factor within this entire project. So what I want you to do is to first kind of release yourself from any previous ideas that you have had about how big or how massive this project needs to be for you. It doesn't. It doesn't. This first book, or for some of you all, it may be the next book that you are creating. This book that you are creating right now will serve its purpose. Okay? It will serve its purpose. And you may have another book down the line that will serve another purpose. Okay? So as we go throughout this week, you will find that I will be kind of focusing you and really helping you to narrow in on exactly what this particular book is going to be about. And this is important because a lot of us come to this idea of writing the book with a million different topics that we could write about. Like all of us have experiences and skills and things that have happened in life that are book worthy, right? So there are probably a number of things that you could write about. And what I'm saying to you is that you don't have to write about all of them in this one project. You get to choose and we get to focus in on one thing. So throughout this week, we're going to talk about like your topic. We're going to talk about your takeaway message. We're going to really hone in on who your audience is so that the book will be able to stand and have legs that will run, that will run super duper far. Okay. All right. So why do you all think many people say that they want to write a book, but actually never do it? You have two camps. You have one group that say that they want to, and they're like in the dream world. They just dream about it. They don't take any action at all. They just dream. One day I'm going to write a book. One day I'm going to write a book. One day I'm going to write a book. Like that's the land that they stay in. And then you have another camp of people who say that they want and they start some action and then it doesn't continue, right? And then it doesn't continue. So I've been really studying these two kind of camps and trying to see, as an instructor with our Power Author Academy, how can we support people to really finish? And what I have discovered is that it is not necessarily the skill set of the individual, right? It's not what they know as to whether they succeed with the book project or not, but typically there are some underlying factors that are at play that self-sabotage their project. They self-sabotage their project. And so I want to talk to you for a moment about mindset. And I want to talk to you for a moment about what I call like building up your inner author armor. And the more you can kind of adopt some of these things at this early juncture of your project, and really, I mean, like take them to heart, like they make them real for you, that this project will be a success. Okay, this project will be a success. What we have found is that oftentimes there are some hidden fears that people have when it comes to writing a book, that if they are not brought to light, they will come up during the process of writing, or they will come up during the process of even promotion that will, again, like hinder the progress of that project. And so I want for you to think for a moment for yourself. Are there any things that you are holding on to right now that could hinder your book project? And let me say for a moment, I'm not saying like that you have a lack of time or that you're busy or any of those types of things. All of those types of things are stuff that we can work out. Those are things that we can come up with a productivity schedule, right? We can come up with your writing times and things of that nature. But I want you to think a little bit deeper for a moment. Are there any fears that are coming up surrounding putting this book forward? Now, let me give you an example, and I'm going to have a time where you're going to write this down for yourself in just a second. Oftentimes, when people begin to think about playing on a bigger stage, when people begin to think about putting their message out, this fear of judgment comes up, right? This fear of judgment comes up. And that is, okay, if I put my stuff out there, what are other people going to say? Are other people going to resonate with my book? Are other people going to like it? Are other people going to judge it? Are other people going to judge maybe the community that I represent? There are a lot of different thoughts that come up when the idea of putting yourself out there on a higher stage and in a higher playing field comes about. And so for some people, that fear of publicness, of eyes on them can sometimes sabotage what they're trying to do. And they may not even like recognize it. It just pops up. You know, I have one client, I was talking to her one day and she was saying that the book that she's writing, she knows that it really needs to get out there, right? She's a retired politician, you know, has been in the public eye for a really long time. And she knows that what she wants to publish needs to get out. However, there is a fear of bringing additional scrutiny back on her. Like she's retired from that life of being out in front and people looking at everything that you're doing. And so now she found that like there was some fear, underlying fear of not wanting to put herself back out there, to not invite people to kind of look at her or see, you know, who she is and what she's doing now. So I want you to just take a moment for yourself. And I want to see, are there any fears that you have surrounding putting this book forward for you? Any things that are, you know, any doubts, any apprehensions that come up when it surrounds putting your book forward? So you all have your pen and paper? You all have your pen and paper? If you do, say yes. Okay, good, 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 good. And those who I can't see, you can put it into the chat box. And for those who joined us a little bit later, I would love for you all to come onto camera so that we can actually see you, right? I would love for you to come onto camera so that we can see you as we go throughout this week. And it also just helps us to become a family. You know, some of you all, when you get to the end and you're putting your books together, like you're going to be launch partners. You're going to be sharing out each other's books. You're going to be, you know, giving input on your covers and things of that nature. So this is like a little family, if you will, right? And so it's going to help you all stay connected to each other. And it also helped me to be able to stay connected to you all as well. So right now, I want you to have your pen and paper. And I want you to think about any fears. You're going to have 2 minutes to think about any fears that are coming up for you, any things that you're thinking about when it comes to writing this book. All right? All right, 2 minutes. Got about 30 more seconds. All right. Okay, so let's have a couple of people share out some of your fears. Now, this is a safe group. Let me say this. Let me kind of lay the foundation really quickly. This is a safe group. And what I mean by that is that we respect each other's privacy, and we are not to share anything outwards from this group. So some people may share their ideas for their book, or, you know, something that they are thinking about putting into their book. I do not want you all to share that outside of the group. What happens in the group stays in the group. Okay, you have to treat this like Vegas, not like that crazy mayor chick, but like treat this like Vegas. You know, what happens here stays here. So that's important so that everybody can feel, you know, comfortable with sharing. Okay, so we agree with that? You guys agree? Shake your head. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, so let's have a couple of people share out your, you know, what has kind of been maybe holding you back, some fears, apprehensions that you have. You can unmute yourself and then it will let you talk.
Okay, I'll go. Thank you for having this session.
You're welcome.
I wrote down 4 fears that I feel. One is repeating something that's already been said or stated.
Okay.
The second one, not being concise enough. The third one, miss a new development that should have been included. And the fourth one, feeling that I am telling the wrong story or not telling the whole story.
Okay. Okay. How have you been feeling those for a while, or is it or did this bring it up for you? Like, are those things that you have been thinking about for a while?
Those are things I've been thinking about for a while because I've been thinking about writing a book for going on now 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the types of feelings and fears that I deal with. I mean, in my strategy room, I have these big newsprints all over the wall because the only thing that's in there is the tape or the computer. And I write my ideas out and they're just floating on the paper. They have never come together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Well, I want to say, first of all, Mary Elaine, that you're in the right place. You know, all of us have different fears, and all of us, like every single author, whether you are like Steven Spielberg or whatever, like every single author has different you know, personal hangups and such, right? Insecurities that come out. And so our job is not to like fake and act like we don't have any insecurities, we don't have any fears, we don't have any things that come up. Our job is for us to recognize what those are and work through them and then continue on to the end of, you know, the project of what we're working to do.
Okay.
So keep staying focused and bring up for yourself different things that come up for you as you go through this process. You will find that writing a book is therapeutic for some, but it also is a sharpening tool. And what I mean by it being a sharpening tool is that the process of writing a book will refine you as a human being. It is the process of digging deep to not only get the content organized in a way that you'll be able to relate it to another human being, right? That in and of itself allows you to start to think differently and organize differently in your mind. That's good in and of itself. But it also is a sharpening tool that will bring up certain things for you, right? It'll bring up certain fears and all of these things that we're talking about, which are all just personal development things that we should be working through anyway, if we want to evolve as human beings. So it's all connected. And so even the subjects that some of you all may be thinking about, maybe light subjects, you will find that just the process of going through, just the going through the process of writing this book will become sort of a personal development type of tool in and of itself. All right, so thank you, Mary Elaine. I want to
Thank
get
you.
2 more people to share out just a couple of things that you are kind of feeling as far as this book for you.
So I came. Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
are you sure? Are you sure? Hey.
Okay, so I see
Oh.
Lena, I see Estella, and I see Erica. So we're gonna go Lena first.
Okay. I just want to say, Mary Elaine, like I was like nodding the whole way. I was like, "Yup, yup." Like, I have like a few different books I want to write, but like definitely like for my recipe and nutrition book, I was like accuracy and like saying stuff that's already been there. Like I get that. For these fears in particular, like this book was gonna be about growing up in a conservative Muslim household and Middle Eastern household, like while being queer and like on like the non-binary kind of spectrum. So obviously that's kind of like a fearful book as far as like the backlash from like the community. My biggest fear, or one of my biggest fears, is like alienating a group of people, because I do have a lot of Muslim friends, like obviously like Zarina included, like, but it's like, how do I like express my truth of what I actually experienced and like the trauma that I experienced without also like you know, hurting people, like, because like writing the book is going to involve like talking about my family. So I don't know if you've heard of the book like by Leah V, like the musings of a fat Black Muslim. Like, so she's very like raw in that book, and she received a lot of backlash, but that's kind of like the exact kind of book that I'm trying to write. So yeah, so one of my fears is like that it might reflect badly on me, that maybe like a decade from now that it would be like embarrassing or bad for my career. I struggle with being like tactful sometimes, so like I don't want to like say things the wrong way. And let's see, people having an intense hatred for a deep and vulnerable part of me. Being defined by a single book, so like I don't want to just like write this like gay book and then like that's it, and then like if it takes me a couple years to like write my next book, like I don't want to just be like the gay book kid, you know, like or like the kid who had trauma, you know, like and then yeah, like just being boxed in my career because of the content of the book is like some of my big fears. And then just being bad in general. Like I have just like a fear of like not having an A+ thing at the first try. So that's just like my own issue, of course.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, we're
I was
all
agreeing-
probably
I was
perfectionists
agreeing
here.
with you that it's like totally about life too.
Yeah.
Like, what you were saying, it's like about life development. So this is really good.
So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. First of all of you all, Mary Elaine as well. So you know, we're going to talk about like building up your inner author armor, and that's why I mentioned this early, because we have to consistently build up yourself. It doesn't matter what you're working on, really. You can be working on a book on you know, 5 steps to make a recipe or something. So you can be working on all types of things. I'm going to mute you all, and then you can unmute yourself again. So you can work on all types of things, but it still is going to bring up certain fears. So I want you all to understand that those who are working on like a deeply personal type of book, yes, you have some things that it's just without saying, but even if the subject is something lighter or not, it still may bring up some things. Those who are working on like personal. So I'm trying to figure out why some things that is it. I hear an echo. Can you guys hear that echo? Yes. Okay. Where is it coming from? Okay, I think it's gone. Okay, great. Okay, so let's get one more person. We'll do Estella, and then we're gonna move on.
Hello. And yeah, everything that everyone else said, like the 2 ladies, like really resonate with me as well. And of course that fear, like, you know, my book is about sex and sexuality and the Muslim woman. And, you know, it's such a taboo subject, and the Muslim community can be so judgmental. So my biggest fear is like, you know, I'm I've been working really hard to connect with the Muslim community with the work that I do as a therapist. And then, so my biggest fear is like, of course, you know, that judgment, and it definitely freezes me because this is a book that's been in the works for like 3 years now. And I've done the research, I've done a lot of work on it already, but it's just, you know, and is it going to be received? Like, do people really want this information? Do women need this information? I mean, just talking about it right now, like I'm feeling like this like paralyzing fear coming up in me, you know, because yeah, I'm going to be really bold and really raw about some cultural things that are out there, and some scientific things as well that are important to talk about, that, you know, that fear of like, you know, who does she think she is, I guess, also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I'll tell you, like for myself, when this kind of came up and when I had this thought of creating this idea around inner author armor, you know, I wrote my first book. So those of you who don't know, I'll kind of go into my bio. I don't want to spend a lot of time on my bio in this lessons because I have a lot to teach you, but I'm going to share, like sprinkle some throughout. So this was my first book, Jihad of the Soul, and it was on singlehood and the search for love in Muslim America, which is the subculture that I, you know, work in. And so I wrote this book at the end of doing my master's thesis, right? So I was doing my master's thesis in anthropology. I wrote this book, and and I was at a venue and I was selling the book. So after it was a public venue. And I had a table, you know how you bend, you know, especially when I first started, I was like bending everywhere. If I got $25, if I sold 3 books, I was like, hey, I made it today. So I was selling my book at this venue, and this guy comes and he picks up my book, right? And he like looks at the cover. He takes a few steps away from my table, my space, and I hear him say, so anybody can write a book now, huh? And then he comes back and like throws the book down on the table, like, and I was like, wow, you know, I said, one, how rude, you know, of him to do that. But if I had not done some internal work, I would have really been shaken by that. I would have really been like put down by that. And so I had to realize that people are going to come at you, and some of them are going to love what you do. Some of them are going to immediately resonate with your self, your project, the things that you put out, and some are not. And some are not going to do it in really, really mean and disrespectful ways. And so, yes, you do have to build up your inner author armor. You do have to build up this sense of self-confidence and be ready to receive any and everything that comes at you. Now, I know for some people that may be like such a big fear that it will cause you to shut down totally. But I can say that the benefits that come from writing your book, no matter what type of book it is, far outweigh those few folks who may have some things negative to say. So right now, I want to share with you all one of the ways that this is coming from my new book. So I want to share with you all a prayer that we write, that we share with our clients. And it's to help us at the beginning kind of lay a spiritual foundation for our books. Now, all of us here are coming from different spiritual traditions, right? So you're going to supplement whatever word you want for yourself. I use the word God. Some of you may use universe, oh howling wind, or whatever you may choose to use. Okay, so that's okay. I'm going to read this and I want you all to repeat after me. All right, so you can repeat after me. Let's unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. I'm gonna give you a second. Unmute. Oh, I can unmute you too. Hey, I like control. Unmute all. All right, cool.
Got a lawnmower going over here.
Okay, so I'm gonna repeat. I want you all to repeat after me. All right. Oh God.
Oh God,
Please guide me
Please
please
guide
guide me
and allow me
And allow
Allow me
to release any fear,
to release any fear,
any doubt,
Any doubt,
doubt,
any subconscious
subconscious
or conscious
or conscious
entity
entity
that blocks me
that blocks me
from sharing the greatness
from sharing the greatness
you placed within me.
and
within
within me.
is in place within me.
Please place in my heart
Please place
Place
in my heart
and my spirit
and my spirit
the energy,
The energy,
Energy,
the light,
the light,
light,
the words,
the word,
the knowledge,
the knowledge,
knowledge,
the confidence,
the confidence,
confidence,
any and all skills
and all skills
that I will need
I will need
to achieve my mission.
to achieve my
mission.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. All right. So you'll find in your homework assignment today that I want you all to write your own prayer, right? This is a prayer that I've come up with. It's a version of a prayer that I've come up with. In your homework assignment today, you're going to be writing your own prayer for whatever it is that you feel you need to call up in order to help you move this project along. And so I'm going to ask you all, like when you're writing that, to think deeply, because this is a deeply emotional project for many folks, okay? So I'm going to ask you all to dig deeply and to really write out whatever if you feel that you may need in order to continue with your project, and so that the angels of support can come to you with your uniqueness and your unique skills and such. All right? Okay. All right. So let's keep going because we got a lot to cover today. And I'm going to keep you, each session is going to be about 90 minutes, just so you know, like that's about what the sessions are going to be. If you all ever have to jump off, you don't have to unmute yourself and say, hey, I got to go, Zarina. You can just quietly, go, and you'll be able to watch the replay later as well. And so you'll get an email with the layout of the day, and then all of the replays and such will be in the Facebook group in the units. So you'll be able to click on units in the Facebook group, and then you'll be able to see the recordings and such there. All right. There we go. Okay, so now let's talk about your book goals and like your big why for this project, okay? So how many of you, first of all, let me just go by video. How many of you all are planning to write a business related book? So you're writing this book, and you can type it into the chat box. You're writing this book to build your business or build your, your movement. How many is that for you? Okay, a few. Okay, great. How many of you all are writing a book to get out a particular message that you have that you want the world to know about so that the world can become like a better place, if you will? So you're looking to write this book for humanity's sake. Okay. How many of you all are writing this book really just for your own self? So it's for yourself, it's for legacy purposes, and you don't really care about what comes out of it. Like if other people, if other people really take to it or not, like if it sells a lot or not, it doesn't really matter. Like the fact is that you want to get it out of your head onto paper and then be able to leave that for future. So I know that this could overlap, but how many of you, like, that's your sole purpose in writing this book? Okay, a couple. All right. So are there any people who did not fall into any of those categories at all? And you have another reason for yourself? If yes, go ahead. Okay. So Martine, let me just hear from you real quick. Oops, I muted you. Unmute yourself.
I
Okay.
did. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Well, partly I want to write it for myself. It's just something I want to do for me. But I'd like to write children's books. And the seed came to mind after my daughter was born. She's now 14. So it's been it's been on my mind for a while, but I've pushed it off for one reason after the other, life, obligations, etc., etc. But it's a dream that hasn't gone away. And this year, I want to take the first steps in making that come true, which is why I'm here today. And I'd
Okay.
like to leave a legacy for her.
For her.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. Anybody else? Yes, Nori.
And for myself, it's for me to basically make a step and stand up for myself to say, this is what I aspire to be. And then from that, take it to another level as far as business and helping others.
What do you mean this is what I aspire to be?
Because when I was a child, I saw myself, I envisioned myself that I was going to do something really, great for humanity. And then I said, I would like to be, not win, but just get nominated, like for example, for Pulitzer, because I just wanted to do something. I wanted to leave something great and then take a stand, basically. So that's why I feel like I have to do this. Like now it's Ramadan, and I set some goals for myself in spite of this lockdown. So this lockdown, for example, is the key. That's what I'm looking at it like.
It's an opportunity. Yeah. I was doing a live earlier. I'm kind of in this third space where I have some folks who are like, this lockdown is the worst thing ever, and I have people who have lost loved ones. So I don't diminish it. And if any of you all have lost loved ones, I send love to you and your family. I don't diminish that at all, right? I'm saying for myself, like I live in this third space where I have some people who have slipped into an ocean of despair, surrounding this. And I have other folks, like some of my business colleagues and such, who are using this as the best quarters of their years and such. And so you kind of have to choose for yourself, outside of the health side, but like your mental state that you're going to be in throughout this thing. Whether you're going to allow to influence you, whether you're going to allow to come in and dictate how you are functioning that day, how you're thinking that day. And for many of us, this opportunity here that we have with this time, if you will, I have less time, I think, honestly, though, because the kids are home and I'm homeschooling and all of that. But with this change, it can definitely be an opportunity. So let me go over very quickly some of the benefits that you want to think about when you're talking about writing a book. Like, why would someone want to write a book? If you look at the word authority, right? If you look at the word authority, the beginning portion of that authority is what? Author. That is the beginning portion of that. Now, as a cultural entrepreneur, I'm looking at society. I'm looking at the ways in which our society thinks, how we change the way people think, how we change the way people believe, how we change the way people function. That's my job, like as an anthropologist, right? And so when I look at this notion of book writing, and I look at the power of the written word throughout history, right? Throughout history, from time when they were writing on clay tablets, and recording store logs and such on clay tablets, into, you look at the hieroglyphics, that written language that has survived until now, right? All the way up until the Kindles and the such that we have now. The written word comes with a sense of authority. When someone puts their ideas to a pen and paper, it signals out to society that that person has something to share. That person has something of an expert status in this field. We've all heard the phrase like, oh, they wrote a book on the subject, right? And just the idea of that person writing a book on a subject makes them seem as though they are an expert in this field. So you and I don't have to understand why our culture deems authors to be such a special group of people. However, we can ride that phenomenon, right? We can use that natural phenomenon that's in our society to our advantage. And I know for myself that I literally went from someone who was just a regular grad student to speaking internationally, all on the back of my books, all on the back of my books. And there is a reason why you find people who could put out any type of medium they choose, they still choose to do a book. Like, why would Michelle Obama, who could do a video series, a movie, she could do whatever, right? But she chose to write the memoir. Why would Russell Brunson, who is a popular person in the internet marketing world, why would he build his business on the back of a series of books, right? Tony Robbins, you know, all of these big name folks, why would they choose to utilize a book in their arsenal of tools that they're working in their society, right? It is because a book has a certain power that comes with it. A good book, I should say, not just any book, not just a crappy book, but a good book has a sense of power with it. And so you, by taking on the project of creating a good book, what we deem a power book, you are going to be tapping into that sense that comes outside, just within the culture, right? It's something that is pervasive. You don't have to do anything special for you to be able to tap into and build up your authority by becoming an author. So when you write a book, you are going to be known as an expert within that particular field. Now, this for many people kind of scares them. It brings up the fears that we kind of talked about earlier. Well, I'm not an expert, you know, I don't have 10 years of experience in this field or such or not. Now, you don't have to. You don't have to. For you to be able to write something that is of benefit to someone else, all you have to do is know something that they don't know and that they can get some benefit from. You can be 1 step to 2 steps ahead of where they are, and that is a benefit for them. Do you agree with me on that? Like, it's a benefit to them, right? So I want you to release yourself. If this whole idea of, I don't want people to see me or think that I'm trying to think I'm an expert, release yourself from that, okay? Release yourself from that. If you are just 1 step to 2 steps, or you have something that you can share that is going to be a benefit to someone else, then you are worthy, right? You are worthy if you need that type of outside validation. Okay. Now, writing a book also is going to build up your credibility. It builds up your credibility in a field. So let's say that you are wanting to write a book in order to go into a new direction, right? So you are doing something in your life, you want to go into a new direction. So you're going to utilize this book as a foundation that says that, hey, this is the field in which I am in, okay? Your book is going to allow you to have that extra bit of credibility over someone else who doesn't have a book, all right? Okay, so we're with that. Now, the other thing that's a benefit of writing a book is that you're going to have an asset that you can share that is for media purposes and also for gaining client purposes. So what I mean by that, first with the media, think about watching any type of morning news show or the like or such, and you see someone come on and a guest member, right? You see a guest member come on and they introduce them, and they 9 times out of 10, this person is the author of such and such and such and such, right? So you hear that they're the author of such and such and such and such all the time. So media love authors, point blank. Media love authors. So when you write a book, you're creating this asset that you can then go out and have something that's going to share with the media, and that's going to allow them to put you on their platforms. Okay, it happens time and time again. Now, what I mean by your book being like a client attraction, what I mean by this is that when you are in business, and some of you all are in business, some of you all are not, but when you are in business, you know that when you are selling, right, you're providing an opportunity, you're providing a service for someone else, that it is much easier for you to sell to someone who likes, knows, and trusts you than it is for you to sell to someone who doesn't know you at all, right? And so we call this like cold audiences and warm audiences, right? So the warmer an audience member is, the warmer a prospect is, that person is much more likely to come into the opportunity that you are giving them. So when you are writing a book, it allows you to put forward your ideas, your philosophy on this subject that you are discussing. It allows you to put that forward so that you can effectively warm up your audience without you having to do a whole lot of explanation and work. There are some people, like my book, that I haven't even fully like dropped it yet. There are some people who got that book and fell in love with me as an individual and as my approach just from reading that book. And so now they are coming into my other programs because they understand how I approach book writing. They understand how I approach publishing. So my book did some of the heavy lifting for me, right? So my book did some of the heavy lifting for me. And so you all want to recognize that your book is going to do some of the heavy lifting for you. Now, I have a sort of a mixed audience here. Oftentimes when I'm doing this, it's just entrepreneurs. Sometimes when I'm doing this, it's just like legacy folks. So we have a sort of mixed audience here. So when I'm saying something, I want for you all to think about how that pertains to you and your individual circumstance. And if you have a question, or if there's some type of massaging that you need in order to get to how this pertains to you, feel free to ask questions. Feel free to drop it into the chat box. And if I can't get into all of your questions today, I will review them like in the evening, and I'll either do another video or something, or answer them in the Facebook group. Okay. So I want you to think about like the benefits of writing this book for you, right? The benefits of writing this book for you, and what it is that you want to see come out on the other side. Like Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, had one of them, begin with the end in mind, right? He said, begin with the end in mind. And I have taken that and I have adopted that as one of the ways that I do life in general. So when you are approaching something, you want to think about, how is it going to be when my book is done? What is my life going to look like at the end of this tunnel, so that you can then see it, and we can effectively reverse engineer from that vision, from your bigger picture of what it is you want to achieve with this, and then begin to put into place so that your book gets you there. Your book gets you there. You understanding what I'm saying, right? Because there are options, and we're going to go into some of these options throughout the week as to like different ways that you can design your book, right? We're going to talk about like the makings of a bestseller. We're going to talk about some of those things. There are options that we have when we come into creating a book. And if you don't know what your ultimate goal is, if we haven't really thought about what your full vision is, what you want to achieve with this book, you can get caught up in creating something that looks good at the onset, but doesn't actually get you to where you want to go. And each of us have different goals here. So someone else may say that, okay, I want to use my book because I want to build my name in this industry, in this space that I'm in. I'm a new coach. I want to get more clients. I want to build up my name. I want to build up my authority, right? And I want to get the clients coming in. So their purpose is to get the clients coming in. So we have to design that book so that it warms up their audience and then leads them to coming into their opportunities, that their offers, right? That's the purpose of that book. Now, someone else may say, you know what, Zarina, like I'm good in my career. I'm going to do my career, but I want to write this book because I have something I want to say on a subject, and I want to be a messenger for whatever it is that that I'm talking about, right? So the book in that sense is not a client generating book. They aren't interested in generating clients from that book. They may be more interested in pushing out a philosophy or an idea, or just expanding the way that people think about something. But there doesn't necessarily have to be a monetary exchange with that book. Okay, so this is why we want to think for ourselves, like, what do I see? What do I see in my vision? What do I see coming down the pipe from me? You know, what do I see? Why am I doing this? And be real with yourself. Like, be real with yourself. Don't say, oh, I don't really care if I get clients, you know, from my book. I'm just doing this for legacy. I just want to get it out and put it down on paper and just, you know, leave it for my grandchildren or whatever. Don't say that, you know, and then be disappointed if you don't have a monetary return, or if or clients or something like that doesn't come in, right? So as a part of this, you want to be speaking to your truths and staying in your sense of truth. Always, 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 always. The more honest you can be with yourself now and throughout the process, the better you're going to be able to build your book to achieve the goals that you lay out. So don't just pick something that sounds altruistic or good if that's not exactly what you all want to create with it. You got to start to make your subconscious work for you as well. So that only works if you're in a state of truth. So you have to be really honest with yourself as to what you want, so that then, you know, those things can actually come with you, right? The angels can assist you with your journey when you are clear on what it is that you are doing. But if you're all wishy-washy or fake, then they don't even know how to assist you. So let's get real, okay? All right, so I want you all to, for yourself, I want you to, right now, we're gonna take a few minutes and 3 minutes, and I want you to think, let's say, we don't know how long COVID is going to last, but let's say 3 years out, okay? Let's say 3 years out. So that by that time, your book is done, of course, it's out, it's been out probably for a couple of years or such. And I want you to envision what that looks like for you. Like, what are you doing? Are you speaking about the subject that you wrote about? Are you, is it just a book that you know, that's on your shelf and your grandchildren get to read it? Like, what is the vision that you see for yourself from this book? Is my question making sense? If it is, like, nod your head. Okay, great. Thank you, Shannon. Okay. Okay, good. So we're going to take 3 minutes, and I want you all to write out your vision for yourself at the end of the tunnel, right? With the book done. We have about 30 more seconds. Okay. Okay, so let's have a couple of people share out who haven't shared before. And I'm going to be using this as exercise. Some of you guys are shy. We're going to cut through that. Right? We're going to cut through that. So let's have a couple of people share out who haven't shared before, like what your vision is. Like, why do you see yourself doing this? And what do you see yourself leading to at the end of this? So you can unmute yourself.
Hi. Hi. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Clara.
You know what? I had started because I was in one of your chat sessions earlier this year, and I had actually started writing, and then you know, I just scratched everything out with the coronavirus, and I found out that what I wanted to do, I became more clear because I became more faith oriented. So what I really wanted to do was talk about the kids. And I've always wanted to talk about, you know, wanted to do children's book, but I wanted to do a nonfiction book because the kids are really suffering at this particular point. And as the parents actually sat down with their kids, you know, it was all of a sudden an insight that they didn't have a teacher or anybody to take those kids on, you know, to help them out. So I'd like to be like a kind of like a public speaker, get some ideas out that I actually learned from my own kids, from my own grandchildren, and then I recently lost my nephew this week, and he has 3 young kids. And so there's a lot of possibilities that I have. And so I've kind of shifted to kind of help not only the kids out there to identify what they need to do in the future and to help them be successful, but to also do some public speaking. You know, that also I want to, I put down, actually, I would like to have some money, some income to help out for me in the future and the kids, but I want to leave a legacy. But I want to actually, even if I didn't make a dime, just to help the kids that are out there that are really suffering, and parents, because there have been a lot of abuse also between the children and parents, and then vice versa. So that's what I really want to do. You know, you know, so I'm kind of starting out right now, writing out some ideas that haven't been explored before. So that's what my process is right now.
Awesome. So when you're thinking about speaking, you know, you can think about like where do you see yourself speaking? So one of the things that you can do right now, like in the beginning stages, right, of your book, is to think about like the promotion and how the vision, when you see that vision, you can see the promotion and who you need to promote to in order to make that vision happen, right? And so for you, when we say, okay, I want to speak, we want to think specifically about who the audience that we want to speak to is. What is that audience? So in your case, when you say, I want to help the kids, do I see myself speaking at like special events, like a boys and girls club you know, meeting? Do I see myself going into schools? Do I see myself working with the parents and reaching the kids through the parents? You know, like who exactly do I see myself working with? So I want you, Clara, to kind of like refine that vision a little bit for yourself and begin to think about the audiences that you see yourself speaking in front of. Like you can, I oftentimes, like I will envision, right? Like my kids know I walk around, I speak a lot to myself. So I'm not crazy or anything like that, but it's one way that I can process and I practice my stuff. So, you know, you can envision yourself, you know, speaking in front of an audience and kind of look out there into that audience. Who do you see in this audience? Like, who do you see? And one of the beautiful things as far as this vision that you're creating is that you get the opportunity to create your audience around people that you want to work with. And this is
Okay.
very, very, very important. I have built projects and businesses sometimes around some things that I actually really didn't really want to be around, you know? And so in the end, like it may be successful, but it ended up causing like my own sort of like this dissonance within myself, this like disruption within my own soul, because I put myself into a place that I actually don't really want to stay in, like in perpetuity. I don't really want to be there, you know, for a really long time. So you want to think about like where you see yourself speaking, who you like to speak to, right?
Okay.
And then and refine that vision for yourself, so that then when you get to the content, when we start talking about like what's going to go in the book, you can see, okay, am I gearing this towards educators? Am I gearing this towards parents? Am I gearing it towards the kids themselves? Like who am I gearing it towards? Does that make sense, Sarah?
That does make sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my love. All right, so Nyla, I see you unmuted. Do you want to say something, Miss Nyla?
Sure. I didn't know I was unmuted, but that's God's work. So yeah, assalamu alaikum, and hello everyone. So I'm trying to decide what project I want to do. So this is kind of hard for me to articulate my vision for myself, because it's different things for different projects. But some of the things that I wrote down is that part of my vision for myself is to share, to just have opportunities to share what I love. I get invited to speak on certain topics right now, and some of it has to do with my work, and some of it has absolutely nothing to do with my work. And I'm trying to transition into the things that give me life. And so I enjoy those speaking opportunities. And sometimes I'm compensated and sometimes I'm not. And I want to make it so that I can do what it is that I enjoy doing, talking about the things and sharing the information that I have, and not have to also balance my day-to-day work, my day-to-day business, because they're not necessarily in alignment. They're not the same thing. And so I'm actually transitioning and restructuring my business so that so it can be more in alignment with my soul, basically. So that's one of the things. I want opportunities where I can continue to go out and share, but be compensated consistently. So I'm not worried about business. Somebody else can do that. I'd also like to have invitations to coordinate and facilitate workshops on, and this is kind of related to what I do, on for children and families on trauma and healing from trauma from in somatic ways and non-traditional ways and things like that. So it's a thing that has to be demonstrated. And so I want to be able to not necessarily be the practitioner demonstrating, but bringing practitioners together so that this type of information can be demonstrated and provided to children themselves, but also families in the areas that I would be focusing on. I hope that made sense, because it's still kind of scrambled in my head.
So one thing I hear, like when I hear you speaking, was that, like you said, I want to go out, and you said be invited to, I think that's what the words that you said. And so what that signaled to me was that you want to build like your own platform in which people see you as the expert and bring you in to their events and their events, their programs and such, which is different than you creating like your own events, right? Like where you are the leader and you're creating your own events and bringing people in. So there are differences within that. Right. And so so what I see for you is like, building up your brand, if you will, right, around who Nyla is as an individual and your position in life. Now, your book, no matter what the subject is, like you're taking a position, right? You're becoming a messenger for whatever the subject is of your book. And some of you all are doing like process related books, and some of you all are doing more personal type of books. It doesn't matter with everyone, but you are creating like you are the messenger for that message that that book is putting forward. So for you, Nyla, I feel like what you're saying is that you really want to build yourself up like individually around the things that you're going to be sharing, right? So that you are seen as the expert, and then they pursue you even like as coming in, and you're at the level where you're going to be compensated handsomely for what you're going to be doing. So yeah, so what I would invite you to think about too, kind of like the same with Clara, is like think about even if you don't know yet what topic or which way you want to go, like think about the type of people that you want to be around, like the type of people that you want to talk to. And we're going to come to audience and such later, so I won't go too much into it later. I won't go too much into it right now because it really deserves its own session. Like when we get into audience and such, it is such a make or break type of thing that it can really, it deserves your attention fully, right? But for you, I want you to think similar to Clara right now. I want you to think about like the type of people that you see calling you to do those types of workshops, and where are those workshops that you're looking to go in and facilitate, and like what type of audiences do you see yourself wanting to be in front of, and just kind of energetically feel into those groups for yourself.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Tashalyn, I think I see you. Hey,
Yeah.
Tashalyn.
Hi. Okay. So I don't have a subject, and I'm not really sure exactly what I want to write about. But for me, I know I'm a writer, and I know that I want to write, and the book will give me a sense of accomplishment that I have achieved something that I have been doubting myself on for a long time. Something like just saying like, I want to be a writer, and I know that I'm a good writer, and my mom pushing me like, Tosh, you're a writer. I want you to write. I want you to write. That will give me a sense of accomplishment, like that I did something that I feel like I'm good at and that I can do. I see myself talking to other people because I don't have like a big career. Like I work in a plant right now. I did get my degree in journalism, and I used to write for the newspaper. I went to Central Michigan. I wrote for CM Life. So I see myself as an inspiration for people around me, that you don't have to necessarily have a big career to be a writer and to be a successful author. And also, I'm still looking for my purpose in life. So this might be it. So I'm just trying to figure it all out, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna go into topic. And a lot of you all like don't have your topics yet, right? Like you don't really know exactly. Some of you all know exactly what you want to write about, but some people don't, right? And so like don't let that kind of hold you back at this moment. You can even see a vision for yourself, like what it is that you want to do, even outside of like a specific topic, right? So speaker, okay. So I'm gonna be a speaker. And I might speak about this or 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 this, you know what I mean? Or I wanted to be a mogul. I want to have my own empire. I want to have my own workshops and whatever, right? And I want to do this, and this. So, so definitely we're going to go into topic tomorrow. But what I love about your story is that you are allowing yourself to go into different realms, even if it's not necessarily like where you're working right now, right? Like what you're doing professionally, what's paying the bills right now. You're allowing yourself to see some other realms of what possibilities could be there for you. So I'm excited about you know, you continuing and going through this. So yay, Tasha. All right. All right, so let me see. Brother Rashid, I think I see you unmuted. So do you want to give us a little bit? Is he there?
Rashid,
Okay. So let me see. I think he's there twice. Oh, Sister Zenoria. Hey.
Hey,
Hey. All right, so Sister Zenoria, let me just give her a hand real quick because this woman like saw this opportunity and then she said, I want to gift this to some of my other friends. And she literally brought 8 of her friends to the challenge. So give her a hand. I think that's really amazing that we're all like change agents. We're all luminaries and planet shakers. And she sees something that's good for her, but then she also gave it to other folks. So tell us a little bit about like what you're thinking coming down the pipe. What do you see for your vision?
well, since our first session with you, when we were talking about our businesses, and I don't know that everybody knows you also do that, but I'm still on the same path of dealing with elders and caretaking. So I'm thinking that I have to write this book. One that because I found a lot of things that happen to elders that most of us, and I am an elder myself, but that I didn't know had happened to my mother, even maybe 10, 20 years before she has gotten to this age of 94. So we are looking at writing this book on those kind of things, excuse me, to help others so that they don't have to go through this. And I find this to be a problem for a lot of people, even on a lot of the Facebook groups. You'll see a lot of people who are caregivers and they're like, oh God, can anybody help me? And so I've been through just about everything with my mom I think somebody can go through. Although they tell me there are many things I can go through still, but I want to do that and then become a consultant. Um, and in that leave my family an inheritance because we've taught our children they're very good at taking care of their elders. And so I want to leave this family inheritance and build a community around our elders and seniors and maybe do some traveling because I know that to do this, I'm absolutely going to have to be a speaker. And that's something I've done since I was 5. So I don't have the same kind of fear most people have when they walk on a stage to speak. But this is a new area for me. And so I do want to be able to go to other areas and spread this kind of information. And perhaps, facilitate or even coordinate workshops for other caretakers. It's kind of a rebranding for me because I am an educator. And so as a teacher, you're not really thinking about these things, but then life happens and you have to go where you have to go. And I see this as a retired teacher as something that I can give to others and then possibly do some kind of community work, not just here in America, but also look at how other cultures deal with seniors and the thing and then combine those things so that we have what can be the best kind of care for seniors in all humanity. That's what I really like to do.
Mhm. I love it. So one of the things, like the end part that you're saying, is about affecting the culture, right? And changing the way that our society actually um, um, appreciates and deals with our seniors. And so some of us have ideas, and the things that we want to put out there are things that we want to like change the beliefs in society. We want to change the way that society functions. And your project, especially when you start adding in, other cultural views around a particular subject, right? It kind of broadens it. That really you will be the spokesperson around like elderly care, right? You're a spokesperson around how to deal with the elderly, how do we take care of the caregivers as well who are doing those types of things. So
Right.
that's definitely an important thing. Now, for someone, now I have aging parents, and so I've been in talking to other people, like you have certain agencies who deal with this, right? Like here we have
Yes.
the area of aging, we have other, organizations and such. So when you're thinking about later, as far as like promotion and such, you're going to start thinking about like groups of your audience. We call them like the largest concentration of your target audience. We like to work smarter, not harder, right? So we want to find the largest concentration of your target audience. And this is why we're going to spend some time this week really honing in on who your audience is. And when we hone in on that and you have this largest, you can find then the largest concentration of your target audience and then get yourself and your book in front of that audience, then your message has the ability to land faster, quicker, and then also spread out, right? Because what you're doing here is that you want to change the way that society views elders and the way that society works around elders. So we're going to be like a lot of mindset stuff, right? It's going to be a lot of mindset stuff. Now, I'm going to throw this out to you while I'm thinking about it right now, because it's coming to me. And one is that, within this realm, we're going to talk about types of books and such later, but it's coming to me right now. So I'm going to share it with you. And that is, when we have different types of books, you have a memoir, which is your story. It's built off of you and your life, your story, right? And then you also have something called like an anthology. An anthology, if you think of Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? Chicken Soup for the Soul. Jack Canfield, he didn't write that whole book. He got entries from other people, right? And so that was a compilation. So this anthology. One of the things I think that can happen for you in your book, you can have talk about the same topic in multiple ways. But I think one would be really powerful to have an anthology of different caregivers who have taken care of the elderly and like be able to share their stories, right? Now, two things that happen for you as an author that puts together an anthology is one, you get to connect and network with each of those people who have individually contributed to that book. And so like Estella does summits. So she knows it's like the same idea like as a summit, but it's with the book, right? So within an anthology, you are connecting to each of those individual people who are putting a contribution or a chapter into your book, but it also allows you to become an expert in the process. Like if any of you all are thinking about writing a book on a subject where you want to get some outside knowledge or outside feedback or such, like getting other people to contribute to your book is definitely a way for you to be able to learn from them in the process while still elevating your name and your status as the author. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but it's something I think is definitely good for you as well. So, all right, so let's see, it's 5:27. So we're going to shut it down and give you all the homework that you're going to have for tomorrow. So let's see, Ali, are you still here? Can you talk? I don't know if he can actually talk. So I'm going to drop the homework assignment into the chat box. Send. Okay. There we go. Control C. So I'm gonna drop. Oh, he said yes.
Hi, everyone. This is Ali. Yeah. Okay, so we do have the link in the units. If you go and check the group, you'll see it under the unit 1, which is lay the foundation. There's a form, Google form, and you'll be able to fill in that form, and we'll look into that form.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty much in there.
Okay, thank you. So it's in the units inside the Facebook group, and it's also, I dropped the link into this chat box as well. So let me tell you how I want you to do your homework. So do your homework. Do your homework. It's based off of what we just talked about today. And you may not understand like why I'm doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it, but I'm going to ask you just to trust me right now. So I'm going to ask you just to trust me and be a part of the process. Okay. So do the homework. It is in there. Once you've done the form, I want you to come into the Facebook group, and then I want you to share up like one thing that you are taking away, like one big aha, one big takeaway from today's session. Share that in the group. All right, share that in the group. So you have 2 things. One is the form, one is in the group. Okay, everybody clear? Yeah, I see Monica got that. Monica, okay, good. So you have 2 things, the form and then come into the group and share into the group. If at any time this week you have a problem, if you can't access something, send us an email at support@bookpowerpublishing.com, support@bookpowerpublishing.com, and we will try to make sure that we assist you and get whatever it is that you need to get done with that. All right. We sound good? Okay, so we're gonna end on day 1. We have a lot to get covered. I know today was kind of light with some things, so I hope that you're kind of into it now, and tomorrow you'll be ready to continue going on. If there are any people that you know that should be in this and should join, send them the link so that they can still join us for tomorrow. Signing off. You all have a beautiful day. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Cover your face when you go out there because nobody needs your germs. And be good. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Queen. I appreciate you for starting this group, man.
That
I'm
was
looking forward to it. I got a couple more people coming in too, Queen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
What time do you start?
Uh-oh. What time do we start? We're going to be here tomorrow, same time, 4 o'clock. So each day will be same day, 4 o'clock. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what's the day? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have 5 days at 4 o'clock. We're going to have 1 day, which is going to be a break. So next Friday will be a break. And then Saturday will be our celebration party where I'm going to give away the gifts and we're going to celebrate like having our book plans. It's going to be a tie it all together final training on next Saturday. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.